The night was quiet, too quiet. The human sat near his small fire, watching the sparks rise into the dark sky. He had traveled far, deep into alien lands where no other human dared to stay. The forest around him whispered with strange sounds, hissing, insects, growling beasts, and the faint beat of distant drums. Yet he stayed calm, sharpening his blade and keeping his rifle close. He had learned one thing in these lands: danger never gave a warning. Then, out of the silence, came a scream. It was sharp, broken, and filled with fear. The human froze. His hand tightened on the blade. The scream came again, weaker this time. Without thinking, he rose to his feet and stepped toward the sound. His instincts told him it was a trap, but something in the voice, desperation, helplessness, pulled him forward. Branches cracked under his boots as he pushed through the thick brush. The moonlight broke through the trees, and there she was, an alien girl. Stumbling into the clearing, her steps weak, her body trembling. Her skin shimmered faintly in the moonlight, her clothes torn, her face stained with dirt and blood. She looked no older than him, maybe younger, with wide glowing eyes that carried both terror and hope. When she saw him, she dropped to her knees, her arms stretched out, shaking as if they held the weight of the entire world. "Please," she whispered, her voice cracking, "help me." The human blinked, stunned. No alien had ever begged him before. Most feared him, some hated him, but none had fallen to their knees like this. He stepped closer, cautious, blade still in hand. "What happened to you?" he asked, his voice low but steady. She struggled to speak, her lips trembling. They will kill me. Tonight, the ritual. It begins at sunset." The human frowned. "What ritual?" Her head lowered, tears dripping onto the ground. "The savage ritual. They say it must be done, or the tribe will suffer. They chose me. I tried to escape, but they are hunting me now. If they find me, I will die." His chest tightened. He looked around, listening. The forest was alive, but now he heard it, the faint rhythm of drums carried by the wind. Boom. Boom. It was getting closer. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "If your people catch you, they are not my people anymore," she cried, lifting her face. Her eyes burned with both fear and defiance. "They betrayed me. They offered me to the flames. Please, human, I beg you, don't let them take me back." The human studied her carefully. He had heard stories of these alien rituals, dark ceremonies whispered about in trade camps. Tribes that burned their own to satisfy gods of fire and war. But never had he thought he would stand in the middle of it. The girl's hands clutched the dirt, her nails digging into the ground. "You are strong, stronger than them. If you stand with me, maybe I live. If you turn away, I burn." Her words pierced him deeper than she knew. He was alone in this world, just another wanderer trying to survive. But here was someone weaker, someone begging him for strength. And the drums were closer now, louder, angrier. The human knelt down, his eyes locked on hers. "If I help you, there will be no turning back. They will come for me too." Her voice was barely a whisper, but it carried the weight of her soul. "Then, let them come. I would rather die with hope than burn alone." The firelight from his camp flickered against his face as he made his choice. He sheathed his blade and extended his hand. For a moment, the girl just stared, her lips trembling as if she couldn't believe it. Then, with all her remaining strength, she grasped his hand. He pulled her to her feet, steadying her shaking body. Her skin was cold, her breaths uneven. But her grip was tight. She refused to let go. From the darkness beyond the trees, voices rose. The tribe was close. The human could see torches moving through the forest, glowing eyes searching the shadows. "They "Are here?" she whispered, panic flashing across her face. The human held her firmly. "Then we move. Stay close." Together, they slipped through the trees, moving away from the firelight. The human senses sharpened. Every leaf crunch, every torch flicker, every drumbeat seemed louder, faster. The girl stumbled once, but he caught her before she fell. She looked at him with gratitude, her lips forming the same word again, "Please." But this time, it wasn't just a plea. It was trust. The human tightened his grip on her arm. He did not say a word, but inside, he had already decided. He would not leave her. As they moved deeper into the forest, the drums thundered behind them. The voices grew louder, chanting words the human couldn't understand. Torches cut through the dark, closing in from all sides. The alien girl's eyes filled with fear. "If they catch us, they will drag me back. They will bind me to the altar. You don't know what they will do." The human's jaw tightened. "Then they will have to go through me first." She stared at him, wide-eyed. No one had ever said those words for her before. And in that moment, even with death hunting them, she felt something she had never felt in her life: hope. The night swallowed them. The drums chased them, and the ritual waited. But the human had made his choice. He would face the darkness, even if it meant standing alone. Asterisk. The night grew heavier as the human guided the alien girl through the forest. The drums were louder now, echoing from every direction, as if the entire jungle was alive with their rhythm. Smoke drifted through the trees, carrying the smell of burning wood and something darker, something like flesh. The girl's grip on his arm tightened with every step. "They are close," she whispered, her glowing eyes scanning the shadows. "The ritual begins soon. They will not stop until they find me." The human slowed his pace, listening carefully. Ahead, the trees thinned and the faint glow of fire spread across the ground. He motioned for the girl to stay low, then crept forward. What he saw made even him the seasoned wanderer who had faced beasts and warpaws in silence. A village lay in the clearing, surrounded by wooden stakes and bone charms that rattled in the wind. Tall flames danced in the center, where dozens of aliens gathered, their bodies painted with red and black symbols. They moved in circles, chanting words he could not understand, stamping their feet to the rhythm of the drums. The sound rattled through his chest like thunder. At the very heart of the circle stood a stone altar, carved with strange marks that glowed faintly in the firelight. Blood stained its surface, fresh blood. The human's jaw tightened. The alien girl crouched beside him, her face pale. "This is the savage ritual," she whispered. "Every season, one is chosen. They believe if the fire god is not fed, the tribe will burn with sickness and war. They chose me." Her voice broke, trembling. "I was born under the twin moons. They say it is cursed. My mother tried to fight them, but she was silenced. Now I am the price they demand." The human looked at her, his hand resting on the hilt of his blade. She was shaking, her tears glistening in the firelight. Yet there was something unbroken in her eyes. She did not want to die. "Then we make sure they don't take you," he said firmly. Before she could answer, a roar rose from the crowd. The elder stepped forward, an alien twice as tall as the others, his skin dark as stone, his eyes burning with red glow. He raised a staff crowned with bones and fire. "Bring the sacrifice." The elder shouted, his voice booming like thunder. The tribe cheered. From the huts, two warriors dragged forward another alien, bound in chains, crying for mercy. The girl gasped, covering her mouth. "It is not me," she whispered in shock. They found another. The human watched in silence as the warriors dragged the bound figure to the altar. The crowd roared louder, their chants shaking the ground. The elder raised his staff, preparing the ritual. But then, the elder's voice cut through the night. The one who fled must still pay. The cursed girl will be found. The fire god demands her blood. Until then, the trial must be faced. The human's chest tightened. Trial. The crowd parted, revealing a circle of fire lit around the altar. The flames crackled high, trapping the warriors and the sacrifice inside. The girl clutched his arm. The trial of fire. It is the test for the chosen. If no sacrifice is ready, the strongest must face the flames. If they fall, the fire god takes all of us. The humans stared at the ritual. Warriors entered the ring one by one, slashing at each other with blades, testing their strength in the burning circle. The chants grew louder, faster, the smell of smoke and blood mixing in the air. He realized then what this meant. If they captured her, she would be thrown into that circle, cut down while the tribe cheered. The alien girl buried her face in her hands. I cannot go back. I cannot face that fire. Please, human, if they take me, end me before they burn me alive. Her words shook him. He had seen battlefields, had watched men die screaming in the dirt, but never had he heard such a plea. She was asking for mercy in death rather than life in chains. But the human was no stranger to impossible odds. He had survived every trap, every ambush, every battle because he refused to bend. And now, as the flames roared, he felt that same fire in his chest. You will not burn, he said, his voice steady as stone. The girl looked up at him, her eyes wide with disbelief. No one had ever spoken for her before. No one had ever promised her life. From the circle, another warrior fell, his body dragged out, burned and bleeding. The crowd roared louder, demanding more blood. The elder raised his staff high, his eyes scanning the shadows as if he could sense her presence. The girl flinched. He knows I am near. The human's grip tightened on his blade. Then we move before he finds you. But just as they turned to retreat, a horn blasted through the forest. Torches swung toward their hiding place. Shouts rose. Warriors charged into the trees. The girl gasped, panic flooding her face. They have seen us. The human pulled her behind him, his eyes blazing. Then we give them a fight they will never forget. As the first warrior lunged from the shadows, the human's blade flashed in the firelight, cutting through the drums, through the chants, through the night itself. The ritual had begun, and now the human was part of it. The clash of steel echoed through the forest as the human's blade cut down the first warrior. The torchlight revealed more shadows closing in, glowing alien eyes circling like wolves ready to strike. The alien girl clung to a tree, fear freezing her in place, yet her gaze never left the human. He stood tall in front of her, his breath steady, his stance unshaken. The warriors snarled and hissed, raising curved blades marked with blood. They had the numbers, but he had something they could not understand, yielding will. The elder's voice thundered across the clearing. Seize them both. The girl must burn, and the stranger will face the trial. The chant rose louder, the tribe stamping their feet, the drums shaking the ground. The warriors surged forward, surrounding the human and the girl. There was no path to run, no shadows left to hide. The girl cried out, "They will kill you." No one stands against the ritual. The human didn't look back. His voice was calm, but each word carried fire. Then tonight, their ritual changes. With a roar, the first wave of warriors rushed him. The human moved like lightning, parrying one blade, shoving another back, kicking the third into the flames. But for each he struck down, two more took their place. The heat of the fire ring pressed closer, sweat running down his face, the smell of blood filling the air. The alien girl's heart pounded. She had never seen such defiance. Warriors twice his size fell before him, but the crowd only grew wilder, chanting for more blood. She realized then the human was not only fighting for her, he was fighting against their very belief. The elder raised his staff, shouting, "Enough! If he seeks the fire's judgment, let him face it alone." At once, the warriors dragged the girl away. She screamed, kicking and clawing, her eyes locked on the human. "No, don't leave me. They will burn me." He tried to break through, but spears crossed in front of him, pushing him back into the flames. The circle closed, sealing him inside. The human stood alone now, surrounded by fire, dozens of alien eyes watching. The drums stopped. Silence fell heavy, broken only by the crackle of flames. The elder's voice rolled like thunder. "The trial of fire begins. If the stranger survives, the fire god may spare him. If he falls, both will burn." The tribe roared in approval, their voices shaking the night. The human's jaw tightened. He looked across the fire ring and saw the alien girl, held by chains, tears streaking her dirt-covered face. Her lips trembled, forming one word over and over, "Please." He nodded once, a silent promise. The first challenger entered the circle. A towering warrior painted head to toe in black ash. His blade gleamed red in the firelight. He pounded his chest, then lunged on the human met him head-on. Steel clashed. Sparks flew, and the crowd screamed in frenzy. The warrior struck with brute force, each blow shaking the ground, but the human was faster. He ducked, slashed, and drove his blade across the warrior's chest. The ash-painted fighter fell to the dirt. The crowd howled louder, throwing bones and ash into the fire. Another warrior entered, then another, and another, one after another. They came, each stronger than the last, testing him, trying to break him. His muscles burned, his lungs gasped, but he refused to fall. The alien girl cried out with each strike, her voice breaking. But she saw something in him that none of her people had ever shown. He was not just fighting, he was refusing to surrender. His spirit. Blood dripped from his arm, his shoulder burned from a cut, but his eyes never wavered. When the fifth warrior fell, the crowd grew restless. The elder slammed his staff into the ground. "Enough games. Bring the champion." The tribe erupted in cheers, stamping the ground. The fire roared higher as a new figure stepped into the circle. He was massive, his armor made from bones, his blade larger than the human's arm. His eyes glowed with savage hunger. The alien girl gasped, "That is the fire's champion. No one survives him." The human wiped the blood from his face, lifting his blade once more. He looked at her just one glance and, in that moment, she understood. He did not care about the odds. He cared only about his promise. The champion roared, charging forward, swinging his bone blade with the force of a storm. The human braced himself, the flames closing in around them. The crowd screaming for death. The clash was like thunder, steel against bone, sparks bursting into the night. The human staggered back, but did not fall. He met every strike, every savage blow, with sheer will. The ground shook under their battle, the flames hissed higher, and the tribe roared louder. The alien girl's chains rattled as she fought to break free. Her heart pounded with terror, yet deep inside, a new feeling grew. For the first time in her life, she believed. The fire's champion raised his blade high for the final strike, roaring in victory. The human clenched his teeth, every muscle screaming, and struck with all his strength. Steel met bone. The air cracked. The fire blazed brighter. And in that moment, as the crowd screamed and the alien girl's voice cried his name, the human stood tall, lone among enemies, unbroken, unafraid. The flames roared higher, circling the human like a living beast. Sparks danced in the smoky air, painting the night red and gold. The crowd screamed with savage hunger, their voices rising as one. Burn him, break him, feed the fire god. The human stood tall, his chest heaving, his blade dripping with blood from the last battle. His body was bruised and cut, but his spirit was unbroken. Across the circle, the alien girl strained against her chains, her glowing eyes locked on him. She wanted to cry, to scream, but no sound left her lips. Her heart beat only with fear and with hope. The champion stepped forward again, his bone armor clattering, his giant blade gleaming in the firelight. The ground seemed to shake beneath his heavy steps. The tribe pounded their feet in rhythm, drums echoing with every move. This was no ordinary fight. This was the sacred trial of fire, where only one left the circle alive. The human tightened. His grip, sweat stinging his eyes. He had fought wars before, faced men and beasts stronger than him. But never had he been so alone, surrounded by enemies, cut off from escape, and chained to a promise he could not break. The champion roared, swinging his massive blade. The human dodged, the edge slicing past his face, hot with the force of the swing. He rolled across the dirt, the fire scorching his skin as he rose again. His blade flashed, striking the champion's side, but the bone armor held strong. Sparks burst, but no blood spilled. The crowd cheered louder. The elder raised his staff, eyes glowing red in the flames. The fire god watches. The trial will end in blood. The alien girl shook her head, her voice breaking at last. Please, don't die. Don't leave me here. Her words cut deeper than any blade. The human's jaw clenched, and he steadied himself. He would not fall. Not for them. Not tonight. The champion attacked again, each strike heavier, faster, the force shaking the ground. The human blocked one, then another, his arms screaming with pain. His blade cracked under the pressure, nearly breaking in two. He stumbled. The crowd roaring in triumph. The champion lifted his weapon for the killing blow. But at that moment, the human surged forward instead of retreating. He closed the distance, slamming his shoulder into the giant's chest. The champion staggered back, surprised, his balance breaking. The human struck again, hammering his fist into the weak point beneath the bone armor. The crowd gasped as blood sprayed into the firelight. The alien girl's eyes widened with hope. He can win, she whispered. The champion howled in rage, swinging wildly, firelight flashing across his blade. The human ducked, the flames singing his hair, then drove his cracked sword into the champion's thigh. The bone armor shattered. The crowd's cheers turned to silence for a moment, shocked, but the human's weapon finally broke, snapping in two. He was left with nothing but a jagged shard of steel. The elder laughed, raising his staff. Now he burns. The tribe roared again, chanting, stamping the earth. The champion bared his teeth, eyes glowing brighter. He swung his massive blade once more, forcing the human to stumble back against the wall of fire. Heat seared his skin. Smoke filled his lungs. For a moment, it seemed over. The alien girl screamed, tears streaming down her face. She pulled at her chains until her wrists bled. No, don't take him. The human's eyes flicked to her. Just one look and that was enough. Strength returned to his body. With a roar, he leaped forward, gripping the shard of steel with both hands. The champion swung down his bone blade, but the human slid under it, flames burning his back. He drove the shard upward, straight into the champion's chest. The sound was like thunder. Bone cracked, blood burst, and the champion fell to his knees, his giant weapon dropping to the dirt. The crowd gasped, silence falling across the fire ring. The human pulled the shard free. his chest rising and falling, his body shaking but still standing. The champion collapsed into the flames, his body consumed as the fire god's offering. For a long moment, no one spoke. The only sound was the crackle of fire and the steady breath of the human. Then the crowd erupted. Some screamed in fear, others in rage. The elder slammed his staff down, furious. This is no victory. He is no chosen one. The ritual is broken. Kill them both. The alien girl's chains were yanked by warriors, dragging her toward the altar. She cried out, reaching for the human. Help me. The human staggered, gripping the fallen champion's massive blade. He lifted it with both hands, the firelight reflecting in his eyes. He was bloodied, broken, but unshaken. Come then. He growled, his voice like steel. If you want her life, you'll have to take mine first. The tribe hesitated, fear flickering in their glowing eyes. They had seen their champion fall. They had seen the fire god's flames consume him instead of the human. Whispers spread through the crowd. Was this stranger chosen? Had the fire god spared him? The elder's face twisted in rage. He is no god's man. He is a defiler. Strike him down. But the warriors did not move. They stared at the human, standing tall with the fire blade in his hands, his eyes burning, brighter than the flames. The alien girl's tears turned to silent awe. For the first time in her life, she saw what her people had never believed possible: one man standing against an entire tribe. Unbroken, unafraid. And though the night burned, with fury and fear, hope had been born in the fire. The flames still raged high, wrapping the clearing in smoke and heat. The human stood tall, gripping the massive fire blade that once belonged to the fallen champion. His chest was cut and bleeding, his arms bruised, but his eyes burned with the same fire that terrified the tribe into silence. The alien girl struggled in her chains at the altar, her wrists raw, her face streaked with dirt and tears. She could barely breathe, watching him face down hundreds of enemies with nothing but defiance in his eyes. For a moment, the crowd hesitated. The warriors looked at each other, their chants broken, their certainty shaken. They had seen their strongest warrior fall. They had seen the fire god's flames consume him instead of the human. But the elder would not let doubt spread. He raised his bone staff high, his voice booming like thunder. Do not fear him. He is no chosen one. He is a curse upon us. Kill him and finish the ritual. Burn the girl. The crowd roared again, their fear turning to rage. Warriors charged forward, spears and blades gleaming in the firelight. The human's grip tightened on the fire blade. It was heavy, but his strength surged with fury. With one swing, he cut through the first two warriors, their weapons shattering like sticks. The ground shook with the force of his strike. The alien girl's heart raced. She had never seen such power. He moved like a storm, blocking, striking, pushing back wave after wave of enemies. But for every warrior he defeated, more poured into the circle. They swarmed him from all sides, chanting, screaming, demanding his blood. The human fought like a man possessed, but he knew he couldn't hold forever. His eyes darted to the girl chained to the altar. She was the reason he was still standing. He had promised she would not burn. He would not break that promise. With a roar, he pushed through the swarm, his blade tearing a path toward the altar. Warriors fell left and right, their cries lost in the roar of the fire. The elder shouted orders, furious that the stranger refused to fall. The girl's chains rattled as she pulled, her wrists bleeding. Please, I cannot break them. Help me. The human leaped onto the altar platform, his blade flashing. Two warriors tried to stop him, but he cut them down in a single swing. The fire blade slammed against the iron chains, sparks flying. With a second strike, the chains shattered. The girl collapsed forward into his arms, gasping in shock. For the first time since she was chosen as sacrifice, she was free. Her eyes filled with tears as she looked at him. You broke them. No one has ever broken the sacred chains. The crowd gasped in disbelief. The elder's face twisted with rage, his staff shaking in his hands. Blasphemy. He defiles the fire god's will. Kill them both. The human lifted the girl, steadying her trembling body. You're free now, he said, his voice firm. But freedom came at a cost. The tribe surrounded them, hundreds of glowing eyes closing in, spears aimed from every direction. Torches lifted high, flames ready to consume them both. The girl clung. To him, her voice trembling. They won't stop, not until we are both dead. The human's jaw tightened. He raised the fire blade high, its glow reflecting in the eyes of the crowd. Then let them try. The warriors hesitated again. They had never seen the sacred chains broken. They had never seen the fire god's trial defied. Whispers spread through the crowd. Was this man truly chosen by the fire god, or had the fire god abandoned them? The elder roared, desperate to keep control. Do not doubt. He is a thief of power. Strike now, or you dishonor your ancestors. Still, the warrior stepped back, fear creeping into their hearts. The alien girl saw if their faith was cracking. They had lived their whole lives under the rule of ritual, but now they questioned everything. The human placed the girl gently on her feet, though she still leaned against him for strength. We end this tonight, he said, his voice calm but filled with fire. The elder's eyes blazed with hatred. He raised his staff, summoning his own guard's elite warriors painted in gold and red. Their blades sharper, their bodies stronger. If my people fear you, then I will kill you myself. The elite guards charged, their movements faster, their strikes deadlier. The human met them head-on, his blade clashing with theirs in sparks and flame. The girl stumbled back, clutching the broken chains in her hands, praying he could survive. The fight was brutal. Steel rang against steel, blood splattered the altar stones, the fire roared higher as if feeding on their fury. The human moved with raw strength, cutting one guard down, then another, but not without cost. A blade cut deep across his side, and he staggered. The girl cried out, her voice breaking. Don't stop. Please, don't fall. Her words reached him like fire in his veins. He roared, lifting the blade once more, striking with the force of a storm. The last guard fell, his body crashing into the flames. The elder's eyes widened. In fear, he had never seen anyone defy the fire god and live. The human turned to him, the fire blade glowing in his hand. The elder stumbled back, but still shouted, This cannot be. He is not chosen. He is death. The human's voice cut through the chaos like steel. No, I am life, and she will live. He raised the broken chain high for all to see. The crowd fell silent, their faith shattered. For the first time, they saw their elder tremble. The alien girl leaned against him, tears running down her face. But now they were not only tears of fear, they were tears of freedom. And in that moment, surrounded by enemies, fire, and broken faith, the human had done the impossible. He had broken the chains. The altar shook under their feet, smoke curling into the sky as the broken chains fell clattering onto the stone. The human stood tall, his chest heaving, the massive fire blade still glowing in his hands. Beside him, the alien girl leaned on him for support, her wrists raw but free at last. The crowd of warriors stood frozen, whispering in fear. They had seen the sacred ritual shattered, their champion defeated, their chains broken. The elder's staff trembled as he shouted desperately, Do not believe what you see. He is no savior. He is a thief. Kill them before the fire god curses us all. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then a spear flew through the air, barely missing the human's head. The silence broke. Warriors roared with fury and charged forward, their blades flashing in the firelight. The human grabbed the girl's hand. Run! They leaped from the altar, landing hard on the dirt below. The crowd surged after them, weapons raised, voices chanting in rage. The girl stumbled, but the human pulled her forward, never letting go. Together, they pushed through the chaos, the fire blade cutting down anyone who tried to block their way. Through the forest, the girl gasped, pointing toward the dark. Trees beyond the village, the human nodded, dragging her into the shadows. Behind them, horns blared, and the drums beat faster, echoing through the night. The entire tribe was hunting them now. They crashed through the undergrowth, branches whipping. Against their faces, roots threatening to trip their steps. The girl struggled to keep up, her legs weak from captivity, but the human carried half her weight with one arm. He could feel the heat of torches growing closer behind them. They are right on us, she panted. We will never outrun them. Then, we make them chase harder, the human growled, slashing through a low branch to clear their path. The forest grew thicker, shadows stretching long and dark. Strange beasts howled in the distance, startled by the chase. The human's ears caught the hiss of arrows. He yanked the girl down just as a volley struck the trees above their heads. The girl cried out, fear gripping her chest. They won't stop, they'll hunt us until dawn. The human's voice was steady, unshaken. Then we keep moving until dawn. They stumbled into a shallow ravine, the ground damp and slippery. The girl's knees buckled, and she fell hard into the mud. The human dropped beside her, pulling her close as more arrows hissed into the earth around them. Warriors' torches flickered on the ridge above, shadows crawling closer. The girl's breath came in sharp gasps. I can't keep running. The human looked into her glowing eyes, seeing the despair. He cupped her face firmly. You will, 'cause I will carry you if I must. Before she could reply, a war cry split the night. A squad of warriors dropped into the ravine, their blades glinting. The human pushed the girl behind him, lifting the fire blade. The first warrior lunged. The human swung wide, the glowing blade cleaving through armor and flesh. The others circled, snarling, their eyes full of hate. The fight was brutal. The human blocked and struck, each blow fueled by sheer willpower. Blood sprayed, mud splashed, and bodies fell. Yet more poured in. From the ridge, the girl trembled, clutching a fallen spear in her hands. She had never fought before, never even raised a weapon. But when one warrior slipped past the human and lunged for her, she screamed and drove the spear into his chest. The alien warrior collapsed at her feet. Her hands shook, her heart racing. But she had survived. The human turned, his eyes meeting hers. Good. Stay alive. Together they pushed out of the ravine, climbing toward the thicker woods. But as they reached the ridge, the sound of drums thundered louder than ever. Torches blazed all around, circling them in the darkness. They've trapped us, the girl whispered, her voice breaking. The human looked around. Warriors closed in from every side, spears aimed, their chants shaking the ground. And then, through the glow of torches, a massive figure stepped forward. The tribe's new champion. He was even larger than the first. His armor layered with skulls, his weapon a double-bladed axe that gleamed red in the firelight. His presence silenced the crowd. All eyes fixed on him. The girl's heart sank. That is their executioner. No one escapes him. The human stepped in front of her, planting his feet firm. His voice was calm, yet unyielding. Then tonight, he falls like the rest. The executioner roared, charging forward with the force of a beast. His axe swung down like thunder, tearing through the earth where the human had stood a second earlier. Sparks flew as steel met steel. The human's fire blade clashed against the giant axe, the shockwave rattling the trees. The girl screamed his name, chains still clutched in her bleeding hands. The tribe shouted, their chants rising to a frenzy. The human fought with every ounce of strength left in his battered body. The executioner struck like a storm, each blow heavier, faster, deadlier. The fire blade cracked under the pressure, splinters of steel falling to the dirt. The human's body burned with pain, but his eyes never wavered. He looked once at the girl, just one look, hands her face gave him the strength to stand again. The executioner raised his axe for the final strike. The human tightened his grip on the broken fire blade, his chest heaving. The night seemed to hold its breath. The tribe leaned forward, waiting for blood. The girl cried out, her voice breaking, with hope and terror, and then, with a roar, the human charged into the storm of steel, refusing to bow, refusing to fall. The night shook with the roar of the executioner as his massive axe came crashing down. Sparks burst when steel met steel, the sound echoing like thunder across the burning forest. The crowd screamed for blood, their chants wild, their glowing eyes fixed on the circle of death. The human's arms trembled under the weight of the blow. The fire blade, already cracked from battle, groaned under the strain. Sweat poured down his face, blood ran down his side, but his feet never moved. He stood unshaken, blocking the strike of a warrior twice his size. The alien girl screamed from behind him, her voice raw with desperation. "Please, don't fall. You can't leave me now." Her cry pierced through the noise. The human gritted his teeth, pushing back with all his strength. With a roar, he twisted the blade, forcing the executioner's axe aside. The giant stumbled, surprised by the stranger's defiance. The crowd gasped. No one had ever pushed back. The executioner, the human, wasted no time. He lunged forward, slashing across the warrior's chest. The bone armor cracked, blood spilling into the dirt. The executioner roared in rage, swinging wildly. The human barely dodged, the axe slicing past his face close enough to cut his cheek. The fight became a storm. The executioner's axe tore through the air with brutal power, shaking the ground with each strike. The human moved fast, ducking, blocking, countering, his every move fueled by willpower alone. His body screamed in pain, but his spirit refused. To break the alien girl's eyes never left him. She clutched the broken chain in her hands, her heart racing with both fear and hope. She had begged for death before, but now, watching him stand against the impossible, she wanted to live. The elder raised his staff, shouting above the chaos, "He cannot win. The fire god demands his blood. Strike him down, executioner. End this defiler." The executioner roared, lifting his axe high. Flames reflected in his glowing eyes. The human tightened his grip on the cracked fire blade, his chest heaving. He looked once at the girl, just one glance, and she saw the fire in his eyes. Then, the executioner's weapon came down. The human moved like lightning. He rolled under the swing, the axe slamming into the dirt with earth-shaking force. In the same instant, he rose and drove the fire blade upward with all his strength. The steel pierced through the warrior's chest, shattering armor, tearing through flesh. The executioner froze, his eyes wide with shock. For the first time, fear showed in his face. The human pushed harder, roaring with fury, until the giant collapsed to his knees. Blood poured across the ground, the firelight turning it black. The crowd gasped, their chants breaking into silence. The elder's staff shook in his hands. The alien girl's eyes filled with tears, this time not of fear, but of hope. The executioner let out a final roar before falling face first into the dirt, his axe slipping from his hand. The ground shook with his fall, and then there was silence. The human stood over the fallen champion, bloodied, broken, but unbowed. He lifted the fire blade high, its cracked edge glowing faintly in the flames. His voice cut through the silence, strong and unshaken. No more chains, no more fire. She will not burn. The tribe trembled. Warriors who moments ago screamed. For his death now stepped back, their eyes full of fear. Whispers spread like fire. Was he chosen by the fire god, or had he become something greater? The elder tried to hold power, slamming his staff into the ground. Do not fear him. He is only a man. Kill him, or you shame your ancestors. But no one moved. The people had seen their ritual broken, their strongest warriors defeated, their chains shattered. The human had done what none of them dared. He had defied the fire itself and survived. The alien girl staggered forward, still trembling, and fell to her knees before him. Her voice was soft but carried to every ear. He saved me. He gave me life. If your gods are real, then they chose him, not you. Her words spread like lightning. The crowd began to bow, one by one, dropping their weapons, lowering their heads. Even those who hated him dared not meet his eyes. The elder's face twisted in rage. He raised his staff to strike her down, but before he could move, the human hurled the broken chain across the ground. It struck the staff, snapping it in two. The elder gasped, stumbling back. His power shattered with his staff, and fear, finally, reached him. The human stepped forward, the fire blade still glowing in his hands. Your time is over. The elder fell to his knees, trembling, his voice breaking. The fire god. He has abandoned us. The human looked around at the tribe. He did not raise his blade again. Instead, he pointed to the girl beside him. No more sacrifices, no more fire. Tonight, she lives. And if you want her blood again, you'll have to go through me. Silence filled the night. Then, slowly, the tribe bowed lower, their chants replaced with submission. The ritual was broken. The fire belonged not to the elder, not to the tribe, but to the man who had stood alone and unbroken. The alien girl rose, standing beside him, her eyes shining with tears and pride. She whispered, "You are not just my savior. You are their legend now." The human said nothing. He only took her hand, steady and strong. Together, they stepped from the fire circle, the tribe parting. Before them, behind them, the flames burned high, but they no longer belonged to the gods. They belonged to the man who had defied them.